Hi, welcome to Catholic Mom and Daughter. I'm Jennifer with Kate, and today we are talking books for fall.
So if you need some fun reads for older kids for the fall, you've come to the right place.
Yeah, when my kids were little, we always read tons of fall picture books with pumpkins and apple orchards, and that was so much fun. But then when they hit middle school and high school, it got a little bit harder to find fall-themed books for older kids, so that's what we want to talk about today. Seasonal books for middle school, high school, and even for adults.
Alright, so we've rounded up our favorite fall books today into 3 different categories.
The first category is books that I consider to be sleeper books. Books that you might not have heard of, or maybe you've heard of but you've not read, that are mystery, suspense, fantasy type of fiction that are fun to read for fall.
So the first one of those is The Daughter of Time by Josephine. So this is a really fun historical mystery type of novel where we're looking at Richard III of England, and it's discussing the question, was he really a cynical old hunchback who killed his nephews, or is there a different story?
Maybe he wasn't a crazy English king who killed his family members to keep the throne. Maybe he was an admired and respected ruler who just got a bad rap from the historians because history is always written by the victors. So you'll explore this mystery through the eyes of Inspector Grant, who is stuck in the hospital. He's been injured in a police accident, so he has time to ponder and research this mystery.
Alright, so our next book is a really fun one. It's called The 13 Clocks, and it was written by James Thurber. So this follows a prince who sets out to rescue a very beautiful princess from her evil uncle who's kind of holding her in captivity.
So this is a fairy tale-ish kind of book. It has a lot of neat things about it, like wordplay and rhymes and hidden meanings, and a lot of unusual twists and questions like, why are all the clocks stopped, and who is the Golex who comes to help the prince? So it's definitely not your typical fairy tale. It's a fairly quick read, but you could ponder it with your family trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. So it's a lot of fun, and even younger kids, younger than middle school, would enjoy it as a read aloud. So it could really be for the whole family for fall.
So next up is Mr. McFadden's Halloween by Rumer Godden. So this is a really fun like Halloween type of mystery. It's set in Scotland.
Yeah, this is great because it has the main character, and she has a very wayward pony who's always running away from home, and she has a cranky Scottish farmer as a neighbor, so they're kind of at odds with each other.
And she has a friend who needs some help in this book, so that's where kind of the whole mystery starts.
It is really, really good. It fits perfectly in that transition from picture books to other fall books. Highly recommend. Alright, then the last book we have in this sleeper category is a book called The Velvet Room by Zilpha, Keatley, Snyder. That's a mouthful. It's a very fun mystery. It's set in the Depression, the Dust Bowl days. The main character is Robin. She's a teenager, and her family has fallen on hard times during the Depression.
But then the story starts and kicks off when her dad lands a steady job on a fruit farm out in California.
And while they're working on the farm, Robin likes to explore the land, and she finds a neglected, forgotten mansion. And in the mansion, there's this very beautiful room that she calls the Velvet Room. So I'm not going to tell you any more about it because it is a great book for teenagers. I loved reading it as an adult. So this one you could probably find at the library. It's a great one for the fall. Alright, so the second category of books we have that are good for fall are considered classic literature, but because they have mystery, suspense, murder, mayhem, they fit kind of into the fall frame of mind. So one that we read last fall was Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express.
So this book just has a crazy cast of characters. Such a fun plot. Who is our murderer? What happened here? So it's a great book, and you can follow it up by watching one of the many movie adaptations of it.
Yeah, we watched one of the older adaptations. It was a lot of fun. So there are a lot of different ones out there. So the next classic book that I think a lot of people overlook was written by Washington Irving, and it is Rip Van Winkle and Other Stories.
So this book is a collection of his short stories, and I had only heard of Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I hadn't heard of the other ones in there, but it has a lot to offer. He's such a good writer. He's very funny.
Oh my goodness. If you have not read the originals of this, we read a lot of picture books and adaptations, but he is so funny, and he is such a great writer. His descriptions of food make you want to go out and have Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So it's definitely one that if you hadn't read in a long time, pick it up and read it this fall. You will definitely enjoy it.
Alright, so the next one we have is a timeless Gothic classic, which is Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre.
We read this one again last fall. My kids were surprised at how much they really liked it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and it's such a crazy story. Like, who doesn't keep their mad wife locked up in the attic?
Yeah, and when our house guests come over, they always get stabbed and bitten. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. It's fine.
And the next classic is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And if you have never read the original, it is so much different from the movies that are out there.
That's right. We all know it's the monster who is Frankenstein, right? Not the scientist. So this is one that's not to be missed if your older kids haven't read it. There are a lot of interesting themes in there about friendship and betrayal and creation and power. But really, I think the takeaway moral from this book is that if you can't control your monster, you really shouldn't have one.
Alright, and the last one we have in this category is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So that one's such a classic, and we also have this collection which has the story in it.
Robert Louis Stevenson wrote more than one creepy Gothic mystery
story.
He wrote several. So if you can find the collected works, there are a lot of fun stories in there that fit in that Halloween, fall, October category. For our last category, we have Catholic books that fit liturgically into fall, September, October, November. So we have a few recommendations there as well.
So the first one is The Story of a Soul, which is St. Thérèse of Lisieux's autobiography. So this fits really well into October because her feast day is October 1st.
And in the autobiography, she goes through her little way of doing small things with great love for Jesus, and that is what made her a doctor of the church. So middle school, high school kids, adults, if you haven't read it, it's a classic not to be missed. Also good for the fall is The Interior Castle by St. Teresa of Avila. Her feast day is October 15th. Now this is a little bit deeper of a book. I would say definitely high school and up. She pictures the soul as a beautiful gem with many rooms, and your journey through all the beautiful rooms in the castle is a journey towards Jesus. So it can be a little bit more on the serious side, but if you haven't read it, it's a good one.
Alright, and since October is Respect Life Month, Unplanned by Abby Johnson is a really good read for this time of year.
I had always heard that this is a really good book, and I only read it recently, and it is definitely very good. With the 40 Days for Life going on in the fall, it's a perfect pick, but I will say it's definitely older kids, high school and up, because it deals with a sensitive topic, abortion. And although Abby does a great job of just telling you what she saw, what she felt, what she heard working at Planned Parenthood, it does cover a hard topic, but she does it very well, and I think that it's one that high school students should definitely read.
And then next we have Real Men Pray the Rosary by David Cavillo.
This book could have been in the sleeper category. I don't know if many people know about this one, but it's so good. It's about his journey back to the Catholic Church and how praying the Rosary changed his life. He went on a retreat, and that's when he fell in love with saying the Rosary. It's definitely a good pick for high school boys, but girls could also enjoy reading it. At the end of every chapter, he has a toolbox section, and he has activities, meditations, reflections. One of the activities he has that I love is to have the guys make their own rosary box to hold their rosaries. So that's a really neat thing. I think it's great for men, boys, husbands, confirmation students to read.
Yep, and it's also perfect for this time of year because October is the month of the Holy Rosary.
That's right. So we're going to leave you with 2 books that really could have fit into multiple categories. They're religious, but they're also fantasy, fiction, fun, mystery, perfect reads for this time of year. So the first one is, some of you out there will remember The Flying Nun. Remember that old TV show? Well, who knew, but it was originally a book written by Tere, Rios, and it follows the story of Sister Bertrille. She's a daughter of charity. She's working at an orphanage, taking care of orphans and old people, and she can fly. Don't you know a sister who can fly? So it's a quick read, but it's so much fun. Life in the convent, middle school on up will enjoy this book.
All right, and finally, since the Feast of Martin de Porres is on November 3rd, we have this book called The Weka-Feather Cloak by Leo Madigan, which is set in New Zealand, and it's also set in the convent of St. Martin de Porres.
So this is a fun fantasy type. Danny is an artist, and he also happens to work at the convent with the Sisters of St. Martin de Porres, and he has all kinds of adventures. He gets involved in the mandolin, which is a fable cloth that has a picture of Jesus on it.
So the kind of like the story behind this is that the king of Edessa was sick, and he asked Jesus to come and cure him. But instead, Jesus made like an imprint of his face on this cloth, and he sent it with St. Jude, who then went and gave it to the king who was healed.
And then the cloth was lost to history, or was it? And so that's what Danny is trying to figure out. And along the way, he meets a lot of different artists, famous artists. The Mother Superior of the convent is Mother Madeline, who is a famous artist herself. So there's a lot of mystery, action, adventure in this one, and it's from Bethlehem Books, and it would be a great even Christmas gift if you didn't read it in November. So that is our wrap-up of fun homeschooling fall books that you can add to your list. And otherwise, I think that's it. Happy fall, and we'll see you next time. Bye.